Hello friends, it's Shadow Ready here. Today we are going to be discussing the best type of ships for a new player to play. What I mean by type of ships is kind of like a cruiser, destroyer, battleship, and so on and so forth. Not so much the nation. I've already made a video about that. Hopefully there will be a link up here so that if you want to know what kind of nation that you should play, you can go check that out. But with that being said, we're kind of be going down like what is the most difficult to the easiest to learn to play in this game. Now, everybody learns differently. I know I'm just going to be kind of generic about this. So for the most part, this is what I think is from the most difficult ships to learn to the easiest. So starting off with the ship that is currently being shown on your screen, or not so much ships, but planes, is the aircraft carriers. The aircraft carriers is basically just a lot of micromanaging, which is going to overwhelm a lot of new players. So I would kind of avoid that unless you've, been playing this game with like 500 plus battles. They are fun, I will have to say that. There's a lot of changes that go on in a aircraft carrier. It's just like some days it's going to be good, some days it's bad, just because of the meta and how wargaming's been changing the game itself. But overall, it's still rewarding. You have to be kind of cautious. The big thing is you have to either become like a spotter or be a aggressive attack plane. Both options are great. It's just if you go down the attack plane, your attack route, you're probably going to lose a lot more ships or planes than you would being spotting. So it's kind of like you kind of got to be like a blend of passive aggressive. So you just got to know when to attack. And the other thing is you got to know who's got AA and who doesn't. So that's just a lot for a new player, and so that's why I put it as the most difficult ship to learn. Up next, I'm going to future-proof this video, hopefully, and I'm going to go with subs. Subs are going to be coming out in this game. We don't know exactly when, but I have a feeling they're coming out sooner than we think, just because I've already kind of seen them on the test server. And for the most part, from what I understand, it's going to be a lot for a new player to learn about, which is just basically kind of maintaining your oxygen and also doing like the homing torpedoes so that you can actually get citadels. So with that being said, I think that's going to be very difficult for new players, so I would be kind of cautious about the whole subs to begin with. I'm sure they're going to be fun. They're going to be fun and easy for people that have played the game forever and ever, but for somebody that's just starting out, I would probably avoid them for the most part. Up next is my favorite line. I'm a DD main. Destroyers, that is. Destroyers are very, very fun, but there is a midlife crisis in their tech tree, sorry. So basically from tiers 1 through 5, I know there's not technically a tier 1, but I'm going to do it anyways. Tier 1 to 5, you basically have free reign. You can do whatever you want. You can go be aggressive and, shoot all the torpedoes, have it reload. You got slow moving battleships. So you do very, very well very quickly. It just reality hits once you hit about tier 5, tier 6, because then you'll be introduced to this mechanic called radar, and that kind of changes your whole philosophy of playing as a destroyer. Granted, it doesn't change it drastically too much. You just have to be more cautious. You can't go bum rushing caps anymore. You have to be more of a spotter, more of a team player. Also, battleships are gotten faster, so your targets are kind of not, they're moving faster, moving more chaotic than sailing in a straight line. So you got to use your torpedoes more as like a defensive type of you can't go here anymore type of thing, or try to prevent or try to make a ship turn in a certain direction so that basically your other teams can shoot them really, really quickly. So it's going to be interesting. Also, the new thing too with the destroyers is they're going to be like the sub hunters, the submarine hunters. So it's going to add another layer to it. So that's why I kind of put them here on this list, because the next one would it like if it wasn't for this new mechanic of going sub hunting, I think the next tier that I'm about, or next type of ship that I'm going to be talking about, those two could have been interchangeable. So up next will be the cruisers. The cruisers are, once again, I thought could either go either way with the destroyers, because it's a new mechanic. But I would say the destroyers had a bigger midlife crisis than the cruisers did. With the cruisers, you basically you can spam HE all you want. It's just not going to give you as much potential damage that you can do. So you just have to learn like your shells, like how much they can penetrate, and once you learn that, then you can basically figure out, all right, I need to use HE right here in this certain situation. I can use my AP against this certain situation. It just will help you in the long run too, get more damage, more points, more experience. So that's why I said like the cruisers are kind of here. And if you can last towards the end of the game as a cruiser, you're very, very deadly, because what cruisers are known for are rapid attacks, and you are you're just a DPS machine. Like it's not a lot of DPS. Like you don't do a lot of damage a lot. Like all at once, you're kind of like over time. And so if you can make it towards the end, ships are going to be like, a quarter health, half health. And so you can basically whittle them away if you have like a good line of sight and that type of thing. So that's why I said the cruisers will be the second easiest ship to learn. Finally, for the easiest ship to learn for new players will definitely be your battleships. Your battleships basically have a lot of health. That's the biggest thing. You got a lot of health, and you got a little bit more armor than any of the ships. You can still get, citadeled, so you have to be careful about that. But for the most part, you have a lot of health, and it's also, I think, on purpose that they're slower, so that new players can see what happens in the game. They should be looking at their mini map, kind of seeing how the game plays out, and you gotta think, all right, because I am so slow, I cannot make it all the way to C, but maybe I can help out at B. And so you just kind of have to realize that because you're slower, you have to kind of think more about the game just a little bit. Once again, it's going to also be helpful to use your guns and know how to aim. It's a very easy way of teaching players how to play and aim, just purely because you only get one shot every 30 seconds. I know it's different with every nation, and I know you can put different captain perks and whatever, but for the most part, you have 30 seconds, so you better make that shot count. And that just will help you get better at aiming with other ships, with destroyers, with cruisers, and then, yeah, the aiming and the basically kind of cushion of the health is probably the easiest way for new players to learn this game. So that's great that I kind of gave you this list. So I'm just going to kind of give you a couple of ships or tiers or nations to go down, so that it will be potentially the easiest for you. So for the carriers, probably the easiest one to go down will probably be your U.S. nation, just purely because that is probably the overall well balanced. There's no crazy gimmick with that nation. So I would say if you want to go down the carrier line, go down the U.S. If you want to go, I'm going to skip the subs because I have no idea right now. So if you want to go down the destroyers, I would say go down the Japanese line. You get a choice of either being a torpedo boat, which will allow you to be more stealthy, or you can be a gunboat. So you can kind of basically pick your poison at that point, but basically I would say go down the Japanese. That's probably going to be the easiest one for you to learn. For the cruisers, it's kind of hard to pick a cruiser line, to be honest with you, because there's so many different cruiser types in this game, and they're supposed to be, diverse and different. So the one I'm going to go with is going to be the U.S. cruiser line, because once again, it will split out. You get to go either a heavy cruiser or a light cruiser, and you get to basically decide if you're going to be more supportive or you want to be heavy hitter. So that's kind of the reason why I'm going to go down the U.S. line on this. And finally, for the battleships, I would actually kind of say you could, if you want to go the standard route, you probably want to go down the Japanese line because they're just a little bit more fun. I would say the U.S., but the U.S. is too slow in my opinion, and I think a lot of players would kind of get bored of it because it takes until about tier 7 until you're really, really moving fast. because most of the ships only go about 21 knots, battleships that is, until about tier 7. So that's why I said probably go down the Japanese. And if you went even faster battleships, or be a little bit different, I would say go down the French line. It's pretty fun. I've been enjoying it lately, so yeah. So in general, this kind of just gave you, some ideas on what type of cruiser or what type of captain you want to be, or what type of ship you want to play. It's not going to be, as you can kind of tell, this was just kind of like a intro. There's always different guides out there of like learning how to be the best cruiser, how to be the best destroyer, how to be that and that and that. But for somebody that's brand new to the game, I just wanted to at least give you kind of like a idea of what you should be kind of playing. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this and have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye-bye.